Sponsored by Mackroyce Corbitt and Computer Printing, etc. Computer Printing, etc. Offering quality printing at an affordable price.
Hello, my name is Yusef Pugh. I'm here with Headland, Alabama for AfroDothan.com, and I'm here with the mother of the gentleman that that passed here in Headland, Alabama. The gentleman's name was Partrick Humphrey, and I'm here with his mother. And your name is again, ma'am?
Velma Humphrey.
This is Miss Velma Humphrey here in Headland, Alabama. We're about to have a protest rally for the accidental shooting, or would you consider that accidental shooting? Okay. The shooting of her son, Partrick Humphrey. And again, I just want to ask you a couple of questions, okay? Is that all right? Okay. Well, the first question I would like to ask you is, of course, we know that you're the mother. How long has he been living here? How long has he been living here in Dothan? Excuse me, in Headland.
Partrick arrived here in Headland, Alabama in 2000, and he's been here 12 years.
Okay. So he's been here for 12 years. So he's very familiar with how things work here in Headland, Alabama.
Yes.
Okay. How old was he?
He's 33. Well, he's 34 now. He had a birthday since he passed, but he died at 33.
Do you feel the Headlands PD handled this situation properly?
No, I don't.
Do you think you could suggest some ways that they could have handled things a little differently for you?
Yes, they could have tased him, pepper sprayed him, even wrestled him down to the ground. It was, but they didn't have to shoot him. It was uncalled for. He had no weapon at all.
Was Brother Partrick a big guy? Was he like 6'2", 6'3", 400 pounds?
Partrick stood 5'9", and he was 175 pounds.
So no real threat to anybody who's holding guns or anything like that?
No real threat to anyone. I would like to tell everyone, what we need to do is come together as a unit, everyone, black, white, and all, because we don't need things like this happening nowhere, especially to an unarmed, mentally kid, period.
Well, man, we just want to say we apologize, and our condolences go out to you and your family. Again, my name is Yusef Pugh, AfroDothan.com. We're hoping that what we're out here to do is to bring awareness to your situation here with your son. We expect to be out here during this rally and supporting you all the way through in full. So again, we thank you for taking the time with us.
It's justice only.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm for justice only.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this is Yusef Pugh with AfroDothan.com. I'm here with Pastor Kenneth Glasgow here in Headland, Alabama. If you would, can you give us whatever details you feel that you can share with us right now as far as what happened and why we're here today?
Well, what happened is basically real short. The mother called for her schizophrenic son, a mentally challenged son, Partrick Humphrey, for some help, and it resulted in his death. What we're doing now is marching for justice for Partrick Humphrey. What we wish to get out of this is 3 bills. What I'm advocating for is the family, as well as for bills to be passed so we won't have the results of this for another young life. And the bills consist of 3 parts. One is the Open Records Act. 2 is law enforcement mandatory being trained in mental health. They train, it's mandatory for correctional officers in prisons and jails. It's mandatory for mental health institution workers. Why is it not mandatory for our law enforcement officers who carry guns and could result in death, like what happened to Partrick Humphrey? The other thing that we're finding out is that it's not mandated for recertification for use of deadly force per year in Alabama like it is in the surrounding states. In Georgia, it's 2 hours. Every year they have to recertify, not just with their firearms, but use of deadly force, classroom training on using use of deadly force in the continuum thereof. And so what we look at here is that if Partrick Humphrey would have ran up on the officer who was properly trained in those areas and there was policies in place, then the results might not have been the same. And that's what we're advocating for now. We're also advocating for accountability and transparency. I mean, just straight up accountability and transparency. We got to get to a point to where we come together as a people when it's not just about tragedy, and be more proactive than reactive. We done prayed. We done sat up there and preached, we finna march, and then there's another thing that I'll tell you at the end of the march and when I get through speaking that we got to do now.
Right.
Because, a lot of people just look at this in the gathering and say, okay, that's all they're gonna do. But we got much, much more to do. I was in Washington yesterday with my brother, Reverend Al Sharpton. I had the pleasure of doing his radio show, meeting with the Department of Justice, meeting with Mark Mariel over there, meeting with so many different national leaders that was here 2 weeks ago at my grandmother Ada Sharpton's funeral, and they all sat down, looked at the stuff we have, the evidence we have, and they agreed that this is something that we need to pursue in order to get some justice.
Okay. Well, what's going on like right now? I mean, even down in Florida, we have the issue with Trayvon Martin. Then we have the situation with Mr. Partrick Humphrey. Are you looking at this as being that it can potentially be another nation, something that can capture the nation as well?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we're hoping that they will resolve the issue in a real beneficial manner where everybody is satisfied. We want to build cohesion between our law enforcement and our community. Right now, the community don't feel like that. They don't feel like they're part thereof or they're part of them. And so that's one of the things that TOPS, my organization, the Ordinary People Society, thrives on, is building that community. Contrary to popular belief, that is what we do. We come in, a lot of people say we start fires, but no, we come in and put fires out and try to mend the community together with the law enforcement. We work good with the National BPLA. We work good with Noble and these black national law enforcement agencies. We work good with LEAP, which is the Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And this is what we do all over the country. I hate the fact that it's at home because I never had to deal with it or bring something to a national standpoint at home. But this time, we might have to.
Well, being here in Headland, Alabama, I tell you what, it's close to home even for me. Another question I want to ask you real fast is that with this happening so close to Trayvon Martin situation, I need to ask you, how long has it been from today, from the time he was, that he was shot? How long has it been?
Well, let me tell you this. Partrick Humphrey case was actually before Trayvon Martin's case. And we were waiting on some justice to come. We were waiting on the ABI to do their investigation. We were waiting on people that are around here to wait and talk to somebody. That never happened. So I went with my brother on Sanford, Florida for the Trayvon Martin case. And on our way down there is when we found out about Ada Sharpton's death.
Yes, sir.
And my mother, who's here, told us to continue on. She said, don't stop, go, because this is what she would want. And then is when it dawned on me, and 2 months had passed, and nothing? So that's when we had to bring it to the forefront.
Incredible. How has the police or Headland PD responded to knowing that there's a march today? Are you aware of any response? Have they said anything?
I haven't heard any response except for some local media, some people trying to say I'm making it racial and calling my name, and thank God for the Dothan Eagle and some radio stations around that really quoted me correctly and always stated that I said it should never be racial. It's about public health and public safety. We have a mental health situation. We got 5 major mental health institutions in the state of Alabama that's finna close. When those people come out and go back to their respective places, don't you know they're gonna have to end up dealing with what? Police officers. So this is why this case is so important, even at a time like this. And we need to look at what's going on with our law enforcement, or those that want to be law enforcement. Look at the Oklahoma case and all these different cases with these young males being shot and killed by people that are law enforcement and want to be law enforcement, and we need to look at why.
Well, this is Yusef Pugh for AfroDothan.com. I'm standing here with Pastor Kenneth Glasgow, and we're talking about the situation with the gentleman Partrick Humphreys, who was shot down by a police officer right here in Headland, Alabama. Pastor Glasgow, we just thank you for your time, and we'll be seeing you afterwards. Appreciate it. Thank you. Again, Yusef Pugh, AfroDothan.com. This is Yusef Pugh from AfroDothan.com. We have just completed the marching part of this gathering of people for the issue of Partrick, and what we have here behind us is that we can see where all the people are gathering here to actually have a speech for some of the speakers that we have here. But one of the things I wanted to let you know that we were doing as we marched here, they were saying no justice, no peace. The biggest thing of concern that we have with that, of course, is that they feel like we've got no justice for Partrick, and the family here is concerned. We were sitting here just a second ago. I spoke to Miss Keisha, and Keisha was telling me about how she felt about the situation here. Very pleased that we have tons of people here in support of the situation and the cause that we're here for. What looks like to be over 200 people, maybe even close to 300. We have people sitting here waiting for us already. Again, this is all a very big and very positive movement for people here in Headland, Alabama. We're thankful to be here, and soon, just in a few minutes, we're going to have a couple of speeches and even some music, you know. So again, this is Yusef Pugh, AfroDothan.com. This is Yusef Pugh for AfroDothan.com, and we're here at the Partrick Humphreys March here in Headland, Alabama, and we're concluding it right now. We have a singer going on right now who's singing a song. At the end of this, we just basically want to let it be known that Partrick Humphreys was shot down in front of his home. He had a mental situation, and you know, and again, it was just one of those awful tragedies to where when you look at it, the town, the city is in disarray, because we just kind of don't understand how a police will come down, would seem like no real probable cause, and the action that he takes is to shoot Mr. Humphreys. So again, the thing I want to be able to pass off and say to you and to everyone here is that we know that the police are here to protect and to serve us and to help us, but we still have to be wary and cautious of some of their motives and some of their thinking and some of the things that they go about doing. It would be beneficial if our cities and our states would be able to inform them and let them know that, hey, that just because you have a gun doesn't necessarily mean you have to use it. It's not always the resort to go to. And when you're dealing with us as black people, the thing I want to say to us is, let's just make sure we're doing the right thing. And even if they're falling short on the mission that they're supposed to be doing, make sure that we stand together and do things like this. Because this is the outright most important thing you can do under any circumstance, is to pull together. You have no idea how important it is to pull together. So again, this is Yusef Pugh, representing AfroDothan.com. We're here in Headland, Alabama, and we're here for Partrick Humphreys. God bless him.